by talking about the Nama and the Herero and the Mau Mau, you have taken care of the case study that Kennedy was going to present to us. So your presentation will close this gap. Now, I would like to switch to hear from our diaspora, 6th region, and we start with Mr. Siphiwe Baleka. He is head of Balanta Society in USA, but one of the things that we want him to highlight is the plight of Afro-descendants, slave trade, ancestral disruptions, and tracing family roots. And mics continue to work. Please continue talking unless you are reading. If you are reading, we will have to use your phone. This has happened to us before.
I will consider this an omen, a prophetic omen, that what I'm going to say is so important that I need your full attention. Okay. Members of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, Honorable Deputy Chair, working group chairs, government officials, and distinguished delegates. The concept note for this panel discussion states that it is a platform to reflect on the reparative justice journey in Africa and ignite action in pursuing the reparative justice agenda. 7 minutes is not enough time for me to do that, so I am submitting my full statement, which is 15 pages, in the interest of time in order to get at the igniting action part. And I will proceed to my 4 action recommendations. The Abuja Proclamation appraises, quote, the issue of reparations in relation to the damage done to Africa and its diaspora by enslavement, colonization, and neocolonialism. AU Executive Council Decision 1528 decided the theme of the year for 2025, as well as designates the reparations for transatlantic enslavement, colonialism, and apartheid. Notice the construction here. Reparations for transatlantic enslavement always precedes colonialism and neocolonialism. Thus, the first priority of reparations is to repair the first harm done, which happened when African men, women, and children were invaded and attacked by the military order of Jesus Christ, headquartered in Portugal, after war was declared on them by Pope Nicholas V on June 18, 1452. Captured African prisoners of war were forcibly trafficked across the Atlantic and subjected to the dehumanization processes that resulted in ethnocide. We must start using this word, ethnocide. It has significant legal connotations. So this is the first harm of enslavement. That is the priority of Africa's reparations claim. The first remedy, therefore, is the lineage restoration of the African people still suffering from ethnocide. The United Nations General Assembly Resolution 3384 of 10 November 1975, known as the Declaration on the Use of Scientific and Technological Progress in the Interests of Peace and for the Benefit of Mankind, proclaims that all states shall take the necessary measures, including legislative measures, to ensure that the utilization of scientific and technological achievements promotes the fullest realization of human rights and fundamental freedoms, and to satisfy the material, and as the ambassador from South Africa highlighted, spiritual needs of all sectors of the population. It is now possible through the miracle of genetic testing to reverse ethnocide and completely restore the ancestral lineages and genealogies by combining the African ancestry matrilineal and patrilineal testing with autosomal testing, something with which our Honorable Deputy Chair has indicated that I myself have already done. My first recommendation, therefore, is that this commission and the African Union, following State of Illinois House of Representatives 103rd General Assembly, resolutions number 292 and 453, convene discussions with the Vatican, along with the former holders of the Catholic Church's Asiento Monopoly war contracts, about their obligation to provide a remedy for the war damage of ethnocide. This can be done by the detaining powers under the Geneva Convention, providing free of charge to all Afro-descendants, both non-recombinant and autosomal DNA testing. It should be noted that the new African Diplomatic and Civil Service Corps study, which was recently released, showed that overall, the majority of descendants of Africans enslaved in the United States still suffer ethnocide, since they cannot identify who and where they come from in Africa. The study also showed that 75% of the respondents would take the African ancestry DNA test if provided free of charge as a form of reparations. The next order of priority is citizenship, starting with the Afro-descendants from the 6th region who have already returned to various countries. At the AU-ECOSOC pre-summit ahead of last February's 38th Ordinary Summit of the Heads of State in Addis Ababa, the State of the African Diaspora Ambassador and President of the Ethiopian World Federation Local in Shashamane, Ms. Jasmine Rowe, informed the summit of the deplorable and inexcusable fact that after 80 years, some Rastafarians on the land granted by Emperor Haile Selassie still do not have citizenship. This and many other problems plague repatriates in many AU member states. For this reason, I am now submitting to the Commission and AU-ECOSOC reports prepared by Ambassador Jasmine Rowe, by Obemfo Obadeli Bakari Kambon, PhD of the Abibi Fahodi Think Tank Consortium in Ghana, and Ms. Abena Grace James of the 6th Region African Diaspora Alliance in Tanzania, on the current condition of repatriates in Ethiopia, Ghana, and Tanzania, along with recommendations regarding citizenship and other unique immigration programs needed by Afro-descendants who are returning to one of the AU's 5 regions. Most importantly, it is our recommendation that the Commission pass a resolution on the Afro-descendants' right of return and the African Union develop a comprehensive 6th region citizenship policy. It would be embarrassing for the African Union to expect the former enslaving and colonial powers to fulfill their reparation obligations when AU members have not first fulfilled their own. The third reparations priority is conducting plebiscites for self-determination. At the opening of the 4th session of the United Nations Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, held April 14th of this year, outgoing chair June Sumer emphasized the fact that there are still 17 black colonies seeking independence from colonial masters, including the Republic of New Africa, of which I serve as the Minister of Foreign Affairs for its provisional government. These black colonies have yet to achieve independence like the former colonies in Africa, which now constitute the AU member states. Do these colonies, consisting primarily of people of African descent that exist in the AU's 6th region, not have the right to exercise self-determination like other peoples? Is Africa's liberation really complete so long as members of Africa's 6th region still live under foreign colonial domination? Afro-descendants in the Republic of New Africa, Bonaire, St. Martin's, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and others all have self-determination movements that, like the liberation movements during the time of the OAU, seek support. The AU could grant these self-determination movements observer status, just like the OAU did in the past. This would be a significant tangible outcome of the AU theme of the year. Additionally, the initial plebiscite survey early analysis also showed that 90% of the respondents would participate in a plebiscite recognized by the United Nations or the African Union that would give each Afro-descendant the chance to choose their political destiny. And finally, my fourth recommendation in pursuit of the DNA testing, citizenship, and plebiscites concerns a request for an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice on the status of Afro-descendants under the Geneva Convention and their right to conduct plebiscites that was drafted and submitted to the UN Permanent Forum of People of African Descent during its second session. This was discussed with the ambassador from South Africa, who I'm happy to see here today. The Afro-descendants in the remaining black colonies, including the Republic of New Africa, want the AU member states to do for us, members of the AU 6th region, what South Africa did for the Palestinians in Gaza, and bring our case before the ICJ. I don't have time to go over the specific questions now, but they have already been submitted to the key stakeholders, including my colleague here from the African Judges and Jurists Forum. I look forward to follow-up action on these recommendations that focus on war reparations for forced displacement and ethnocide, which are the first harms caused by the invasion of our ancestral homeland, which did not start in 1619, it started in 1452, and the first documented encounters are contained in a book called The Discovery and Conquest of the Land of Guinea by the royal historian of the King of Portugal, Gomes Azarara. The documentation for the initial invasion and encounters for the start of the war are already documented, and the war contracts were signed. We only need to use them. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Siphiwe, for that intervention. We still stay in the 6th region and call our next speaker, who is online, Felipe Noguera, Trinidad and Tobago. He is the coordinator of the Caribbean Pan-African and Indigenous Movement.